Hello, good afternoon. I'm Francine Marquez.
And I'm Care Valieras.
And
welcome to PairFect.
So, as you can see, my partner, Miss Dina Ventura, is not around. Probably traveling somewhere right now. But we have here in the house, Care.
Yes,
Hello.
it's nice to be here finally. I'm just watching PairFect and now
You're
I'm
here.
here.
Flesh and blood.
Yes.
Oo, so it's already March.
Yes.
Ano naisip po pag March?
Well, of course, summer, kung wala tong pandemic, sana nagbubook na tayo ng mga flights or mga summer getaways. And of course, it's very important for me kapag March to celebrate women because it's Women's Month.
Of course. So, which brings us to our specials this month. We'll be featuring inspiring women we love, women who went beyond the struggles of our unprecedented times and yet continue to be fierce with their advocacies, with their mission, women who made a difference. And today, since you mentioned travel, I'm very proud and fangirling right now to introduce our special guest. She's an innkeeper, an artist, a writer, an editor, a mentor personally. Let's all welcome Miss An Mercado Alcantara of Casa San Pablo. Stammer na ako.
Good to see you, Francine, and nice to meet you, Care.
Hi, Miss Anne.
Hi, where are you right now? Interesting
right
background.
Right now I'm in San Juan. I took it's my day off from San Pablo.
Okay. Yeah, we can be anywhere.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, ito naman ang aming first question.
Yeah.
How has 2021 been so far for you? I mean, in terms of work and your personal passions?
Well, I started work. 2021 has really started off in breakneck speed. I feel because the revenge traveler.
I like that term.
A new term, revenge traveler.
You can relate, right? Those who are just dying to get out are already, I think, getting the courage to come out. And the second thing I think is that the concept of safe travel corridors or safe travel bubbles is beginning to hold. And Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat of the Department of Tourism obviously is taking the lead in pointing out places that are safe to travel to.
Yeah.
So I guess, that combination of people really wanting to get out at the same time, the assurances that there are places that you can go to that are safe. It really made the opening of 2021 much more hectic. And I guess opening up with a more optimistic spirit than most of 2020. On the personal side, I think Francine, I've gained a little more strength in my sea legs, a little more stable, getting more used to standing on shifting ground, learning to paddle through uncertainty and accept that despite the uncertainty there is grace and ease to be had. So that's what I'm continuing to learn, and I hope to pull from in 2021.
Grabe, ang daming learnings. Umpisa, first question pa lang yun, ha? Oo, we feel you. Kasi kami gigil din kami mag-travel talaga eh. Diba?
Yes.
Ganda kaya ng Pilipinas.
And siguro naman after a year of all the reminders that you have to be wearing a mask, you have to alcohol your hands, you have to keep social distance, we have face shield pa. We're so used to it already that no matter where you go, hopefully the habit is already ingrained. And if you choose a place that's been certified as a safe bubble, then halika na! Travel na!
Gala na tayo, di ba, Care?
Yes, and we're also thankful for people like you who really gives more effort talaga pagdating sa safety travel. Kasi syempre at the end of the day, more than the convenience, talagang ang gusto mo is yung safety, yung panatag yung loob mo na nagta-travel ka. So we really thank you for that.
Yes, it goes both ways, you know. We also have to take care of the safety of our staff.
Yes,
So
of
we have
course.
to make sure that all the safety protocols are in place, not only to protect the traveler, but also to make sure that our staff is safe while taking care of you.
Well, in connection to that, Miss Ano, more than being a bed and breakfast, Casa San Pablo is known to be a place for arts and culture. So, can you give us a little bit more about Casa San Pablo? How did it come about? So, why is it built? Ganyan.
Well, before the pandemic, we started out as a simple bed and breakfast. But in the years leading before the pandemic, we began to shift to becoming a community art space. We wanted to claim a more significant role in our hometown. And we thought one way to do that is to help develop or give opportunities for young people to develop their creativity. So we went into partnership with Esquinita Art Gallery and their artist in residence program. So we hosted artists in the B&B, and in exchange we asked the artists to give teaching sessions to public school teachers in our hometown. Why public school teachers? Because we really wanted the domino effect. When you expose a teacher, who, by the way, these teachers are the K to 12 teachers. So they're the ones teaching MAPE, music, arts, PE.
Yes.
So many of them are more trained in PE than art or music. So we felt we could contribute by exposing them to both art and music, and then it would naturally have a ripple effect to their students and therefore to our hometown. So we were making that pivot. Aside from that, we are a an events place, and people were really booking with us already for their weddings for 2020. So in fact, we were looking forward to almost 90 weddings that year before the pandemic was. Yeah, before the pandemics put an end to all that.
Oh my God. So, pero when it's good that before the pandemic, you were really building up a community that was collaborative, had partnership, inclusive, and very diverse. But then all of a sudden, this thing came unprecedented, the pandemic, March 15, 2020 to be
Yes.
exact, di ba? The
Start of
of
ECQ.
the lockdown.
Yes.
What was running on in your mind?
Francine, parang it was several stages. At first, when it was first announced, it's hard to believe now, but when it was first announced, we welcomed it at first because it was a chance to take a break. We thought it was a chance to finally handle things that we couldn't handle because we were so busy. For example, just a little thing like Francine, the lawn, the green lawn. You always want to replant because there are places that have already become bare because they're often trodden on. We said, it's our time to plant grass because nobody will be walking. It was our time to go digital, not realizing what a big role digital would eventually play through the lockdown. No? But there were goals that we had set for ourselves, like move all our files to the digital space, improve our website. So we were welcoming it as a time to catch up, to do repairs, much needed repairs. Our B&B is already over 20 years and we needed to do repairs. So we said, it's a good time to do the repairs. Not knowing that the lockdown would be as strict as it was. And of course, not knowing that it would stretch for as long as it did. So I think the next stage is month 2, month 3, month 4, panic na yon. Because then we could see how can we sustain our people? How can we continue to give them allowances when we were missing on our peak month. I think this was true of everybody in the tourism industry. As you guys are saying earlier, we look forward to March as the peak season, no?
Yeah,
Going into Holy
summer.
Week. And everybody invests a lot to prepare for that. So we had already invested, but there was no reaping because there was no tourism. So we lost an opportunity. Usually in tourism, you only earn during peak season, and then you have to manage your cash through the rest of the year so that you'll survive the lean seasons. But we were looking at a full lean season because we already lost the peak. So where were we gonna get the cash to sustain our people? And then later on, where were we gonna get cash to pay our loans? So panic na, Francine. We thought we may have to close. We were actually preparing that to completely close, meaning go out of business, as many of our colleagues have had to face.
Wow, that was tough. That must have been
Yes.
tough, no? I can imagine.
Really,
Kasi
really
hindi mo
tough.
alam hanggang kailan matatapos, right? During those
Di ba? Ay, iyakan talaga, iyakan.
Oh, may
You know,
ganon.
yeah, di ba? And you know this, Francine, parang
Yeah.
I felt our dream, what we had, our lifelong work was falling before our eyes, and there was nothing we could do about it. So masakit. I think the third phase would be when San Pablo shifted to MGCQ already, when our quarantine restrictions were lightened, much lighter than Manila. So then things began to shift, and we began to see that there was a different kind of traveler now, a different kind of guest coming to Casa.
So that leads us to our next question, no? How did you navigate in the new normal? Aside from shifting to digital, what else did you do to make sure that you properly lead the Casa San Pablo?
First I decided to live in San Pablo full time. Before that, we were shuttling back and forth between Manila and San Pablo. But to reopen, after the long lockdown, we thought I have to be there to rally my team, my staff who were still operating on a skeleton force, and in a way risking their life, their safety, because we were gonna accept guests. So I felt it was important that we were there with them
Yes.
as they're going through that.
Present.
And second, I wanted to see who is the new traveler. What does he look like? Who does our new guest um, look like? Where do they come from? What are they expecting? So I had to be there to experience that. I knew by instinct that it would be very different from the travelers that we had before. And sure enough, what we discovered is that it's our hometown. It's our kababayans. It's our fellow Lagunense that came to support us because they were not traveling outside of Laguna. So, and that's a completely different market from what we used to have. And I love it. It's heartwarming. It's new. They were looking to travel in safe spaces with a lot of alfresco space, which we can offer.
Oh, wow.
And then yes, we had to shift to the digital space, and I think we're still getting used to that, where you can do your bookings very quickly online and through all these online apps.
Wow.
And getting into YouTube vlogging.
Wow.
Okay, paki-announce kung
Yes.
Yeah,
The
just
channel.
watch for Casa San Pablo vlogs. Because again,
okay.
I think what we realized, especially at the time when we were thinking of maybe we'll just give up on this business as many others have. What my husband and I realized is that um, we have a brand. Casa San Pablo has become through the years a well-loved brand. It has a life of its own, and we had the responsibility to keep that. So and that's what's coming back. I think that's contributing to keeping us alive. Is people have such goodwill for Casa San Pablo because of their experiences with us. So some of the early travelers outside of the Lagunenses were those who got married in Casa San Pablo, who had their first date at Casa San Pablo, who celebrated birthdays at Casa San Pablo. When they bravely, courageously went out of quarantine, they came to a place that they felt was familiar.
Yeah, so talking about a really safe place, a safe haven, di ba?
Yes.
So what we want to find out right now, ano ba yung new normal experience in Casa San Pablo? But before you answer that, we'll take a break from our sponsors.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ang magbayad, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all. Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayad.
Hello, and we're back. I'm Francine Marquez, and I'm with our co-host for the day.
Okay.
And we're talking to an inspiring woman, An Alcantara of Casa San Pablo. Before we had our break, I was asking Anne, after all the learning, such a short period, no, less than a year, with such agility and passion on the part of the Casa San Pablo team. And so what's the new normal Casa San Pablo experience like? I mean, like the moment we enter or when we book, how does it happen? How does it go right now?
Right now, when you book, you're able to do that online. I have to admit, we're not that good at it yet, but it's possible to book online. And then second, when you, even before you get to us, we provide a digital welcome kit, which shows you how to move around Casa so you don't feel too lost. But and then we have the safety protocols in place that has become really part of the new normal. No, so when you enter the property, there's a sanitation pad for the vehicle, and then of course all the thermal checks, all the sanitizing stations, the health declaration forms. We are at 50% capacity. So although we are already at MGCQ and we are allowed to go at 100%, we have decided to stay at 50% to allow for the social distancing. Our rooms, we used to have large family rooms and dorm rooms. Now we've converted all that to family suites. We don't accept big crowds, right? But I guess what people like most about coming to us is really the gardens.
Yes.
So just having alfresco meals under the pine trees or under our mango trees or kainito trees, they really enjoy that.
I guess it's really the outdoors that people are looking forward to, no? Yung sound.
Ironically, we have some rooms before that. Some areas of our cafe and B&B that people would not take because they were not air conditioned. Right now, those are the favorites.
Yes.
The non-air conditioned areas. And we don't have air conditioning in public spaces, only in the private spaces.
Yes. And of course, yung nami-miss ko dyan sa Casa San Pablo, yung ingay ng ibon, yung huni ng ibon sa umaga. Huni ng ibon sa umaga.
Yes.
Alam mo, after the lockdown, when I returned, no, and when we reopened, wow, the birds! not seen pati, alam mo yung mga wild chicken, yung labuyo,
Wow.
balik sila. And large birds were all around because no human beings.
I can imagine, no? Parang nature has its way of protecting itself. And
Yes.
maybe re-energizing itself.
Yeah.
So, listening to you, Miss Ano, talagang promising na innkeeper talaga eh. Yung alam mong ano talaga, pinangangalagaan yung mga guests, ganyan. But besides being an innkeeper, you are also an artist. So, how did the pandemic affect your creative process or your creativity in general?
Kasi we know that Anne makes clay storytellers.
Yes.
Which has also become famous in San Pablo, not just Casa San Pablo. She's also a writer and an editor. Oo nga. How has
Thank
it
you,
affected
Francine.
your creative? Ganun talaga. Yes!
Yes.
How has it
Thank you,
affected?
Francine.
How has it
You know,
affected
all-around
you?
artist.
Oo, yung creative journey mo nga.
Yeah, I think my journey as a clay artist, that's the one that has been hit the most by the pandemic. As you know, maybe you don't know, but aside from creating the pieces myself, I had trained a community of women to work with me to do it, to create as many pieces as I was able to do through the years. No, because of course I couldn't do each one myself. And from the very start, I wanted it to be a community craft passed on to others. When the lockdown was at its worst, one of the most painful decisions I had to make was to let go of that community of women because we could just not sustain it. And so for now, the regular production of my clay pieces are on hold. However, people are always looking for clay workshops. So that we're also starting to offer again with safety protocols in place. And if there's going to be a shift, because you said, what's the impact on my creativity? I think the shift will be just going back to small, one-of-a-kind artisanal pieces. Not anymore producing them in the quantities that I used to produce them. But going back to the roots of just being an artist with one-off pieces. That's, I think, where I'm going. Still, I still have to work towards it, but I think that's where I'm going.
Pero ang sarap, tinutuloy pa rin.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
di ba? But sinong umate ng clay workshops? Who do you think are these people? What are they looking for?
To tell you the truth, many of them are looking for activities for their children.
Okay.
When they go out, they want to make sure that there's something that their kids can do. So a majority is like that. But there are also some who are looking to relax, looking to find some outlet of creativity, especially having come from a long lockdown. They just want to explore what they can do with their hands and to get their hands dirty. That's the other kind of traveler that's trying our workshops.
So, maybe you can use your YouTube channels for for
Tutorial.
tutorials. You can start from
Young
there.
generation. No?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, pero you know, Care, si Anne is a compelling writer. Bilib ako sa writing nito eh.
Wow.
Thank you, Francine.
Paano naman yung writing mo? How is it? Are you still going to, what sort of writing are you going into right now? I think it's also part of your core eh.
Naku, we have to talk because I haven't found it yet.
Okay, okay. That's okay.
I know that something will emerge. Right now, I'm writing. I'm keeping a quarantine journal.
Wow.
So, and part of it is really just as a coping mechanism to get through. I think I wouldn't have, as I said to you earlier, I wouldn't have found my sea legs, my way of stabilizing in uncertainty if I hadn't had that habit of keeping a quarantine journal. So I think I'll keep on doing that. I have a sense that there is a kind of writing that will emerge from it, that will have a space. The most obvious, of course, is an innkeeper blog,
Wow.
but that will come.
Very interesting.
Diba? What a
Innkeeper.
journey. Worth reading from our
Yeah.
end, if
Yes.
ever. Baka book na yan. Joke.
Yes.
Sana.
Yeah, so, speaking...
Oh, Francine, I just remembered. So, I forgot about it until you said that. As a journalist, you know naman,
yes.
I do corporate history, and
Yes.
I've had a chance in the last few months to document COVID resilient stories.
Wow.
You know, stories of heroism, everyday heroes through the pandemic, through the lockdown. So I've been lucky in that sense, that given the opportunity to interview people and to document what they've been through.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be some awesome, no? I mean, a
Inspiring.
window to the rest of the world.
Yes.
Diba? Anong
Yes,
nangyayari
from
sa
my
kanila?
own little corner of of my hometown, I got one of the projects was for Ayala Corporation. It was a chronicle of the efforts that they made across their group. You know, the heroism of a bank teller,
Yes.
the heroism of a pharmacist delivering medicines to old people who can't go out of their house, the heroism of linemen trying to connect your cable through the lockdown of the city just so that you're still connected. So I feel so privileged to get the chance to write these everyday heroism stories.
Wow. Beautiful experience. During the pandemic,
Yes.
So, speaking of which, the next question that we'd like to ask is, what are your learnings as an innkeeper, business-wise, and what can you share to other people probably in the same community about what you've gone through?
Same
or,
industry.
Yeah, how you
the
survived and
innkeepers.
navigated the new normal? Because I'm sure a lot of people have also, everybody struggled during the pandemic.
Yeah. I think the pandemic really gave us an opportunity to, I mean, it's so cliche, but it's true. It gave us the opportunity to go back to the basics, to find out what's really important to us. In our case, running the business, turned out that what's most important for us is providing the work opportunity for our people. So it was easier to make decisions when we're looking at it that way. We get less attached to the other trappings of having a business, but just focus laser eyed on how we can help provide income, continuing income to our people. So going back to the basics is really a gift of the pandemic. And then realizing that there's more to us than, as I said, we saw our dream falling apart, pero hindi ka naman ubus na ubus pala. There's more inside that we could pull from. And I guess the gift is the deep well of spirituality that you can discover within you when so much has been taken away.
Yes.
And I'm getting goosebumps right now. Tagos.
Deep well of spirituality.
Tagos. Solid.
So, since nabanggit na back to basics talaga yung isa sa pinaka natutunan mo, Miss Anne. I've read a blog about Casa San Pablo na Casa San Pablo made her remember her childhood. May ganun eh. So, how about you? Ano po yung unforgettable memories mo sa Casa San Pablo?
Sa dami ng taong nakilala mo.
Yes.
Sa dami.
Under the Casa San Pablo sun ito.
Yeah, sa dami. I don't know if this is an answer to your question, but it's popping up. Because I will bridge my answer to this current question with my answer with your last question. I found that by staying in Casa San Pablo and just reflecting on what are the things that we need, and looking at what's happening, without fail, somebody will come or an event will happen so that exactly what you need will show up. The right people come with the right ideas to help us through. So those are the best memories, really. Um, somebody, let's see, there's so many. I can't. Let's just this particular example. I was thinking of exactly this question: what am I gonna do with my clay storytellers? What's the next chapter for it? And lo and behold, who shows up? It's Maris Jokno, former chair of the of NCCA, and she said, you should turn them into a museum. And
Yeah.
no, so it was from the right person at the right time. NHCP rather. She was head of NHCP. So if it was from the right person at the right time, giving me the answer that I needed at exactly that time. So those are the most memorable moments for me. I was thinking of maybe should I'm actually Francine would know this. I'm actually an introvert and many times painfully shy. And I thought maybe, but I can see that it's logical to go into the YouTube space. Horrors! First horrors. I don't want to go into a vlog, but realizing that that's what the situation calls for
Yes.
now, so that we keep in touch with people who cannot travel to San Pablo yet, but would like to rekindle what their memories of San Pablo. And just as I'm thinking of that, somebody comes along and offers their services to teach me how to do vlogging. So it's these memories that really get me through. It's these moments, and at these moments that mark my favorite memories of Casa.
Wow, amazing how the universe conspires, no? When you believe in something.
Yes.
Yeah. So, eto na nga, our next question for you, well, actually, are a series of photos that we stole
Yeah.
from your social media sites. So, but we just want to have maybe just give us a little bit of story
Story.
about it. So, can we have our first photograph? Yan.
Wow.
Magic, di ba? Care, halo ko, magical. Really.
Yeah. This was the early days of Casa San Pablo. Maybe this was early 2000. And that's what we like to do. We like to lie in the grass at night. Francine, you've done that, and just
I
watch,
know. Uy,
stare at the stars.
May fireflies sa Casa San
Yes,
Pablo.
yes. So that's what that photo means to me. Now it's very different. The garden has festoon lights, which people love. So it's a different ambiance altogether. But I love that photo brings me back to the more intimate gatherings we used to have at Casa San Pablo.
And our next photo. Yan naman, daytime.
Daytime.
Yeah,
Daytime
this is the
version.
daytime. Yes, and those hammocks.
Yes.
Those hammocks, no, they are on steel posts that move around. You can move them around depending on where the shade is, because the shadows shift. So I actually call them movable feasts.
Yes.
Grabe, nakaka-relax na agad, no? Just looking
sa
at the
atin, pang
pictures.
siesta yan.
Yes.
Pero alam mo, some of the health protocols don't allow us to put them out.
Talaga.
Yeah. Because then they have to be constantly sanitized.
Sa bagay.
And
Yeah, that's right.
you can't share, and people tend to share the hammock.
Kasi I actually know of people na the first thing that they go to when they enter Casa San Pablo, higa agad dun sa mga hammocks.
Sa hammock.
Yes.
So,
yes.
next photo. Yun, no?
We're getting inside na.
Yan, tour pala ito.
But this is room 18.
Alam na
Talagang siya
alam.
ang may-ari.
Hands-on. Very
Yes,
hands-on.
Yes, and on the walls, those are paintings by on the walls, I don't know if you see those 3 frames.
Yes,
Yes.
Those
yes,
are
of course.
paintings by Halili. They are parang 2 inches by 2 inches, but they're floral.
Wow.
They're flower. You can't see it, of
Beautiful.
course, but they're little flowers inside.
Yeah, and
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
you're really surrounded by art.
Yes, yes, actually.
Yes,
stay
the
in
other
Casa
painting
Even
on
the
the wall is
furniture.
yeah, the other painting on the wall is a taka paint. Is a painting, a pastel painting of a taka. No, so sa Pakil, Laguna.
Next
And that
photo.
particular room is nice because it opens up to a little veranda of its own.
Wow.
So it's a perfect escape if you're just wanting a safe space and you don't want to go out to our public areas. That has its own lounge area. It's also where Danielle Padilla shot some scenes for the movie Barcelona.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
That's
I
some
watched that.
cinema trivia that you will
Yes,
remember.
cinema
Yes.
trivia.
Cinema trivia, yeah.
They
Room
shot
18.
in Barcelona and in San Pablo.
Because of
diba?
the Spanish-looking furniture as well, no?
No,
but
because
it's
there are some
Philippine
scenes in the movie that
probinsya.
he's in the Philippines
I
or
see. Ganda.
yeah, before he goes to Barcelona.
Next photo. Yun.
Wow.
Oh,
Ang ganda.
this photo is of room 8 and I just really love the red windows. They're
Yes.
very cheerful. When I first returned to Casa San Pablo after the lockdown, I stayed in this room for several weeks because nga it's a cheerful room. And it's at the crossroads. It's right across our cafe and also right across where people enter into the PNB. So I like it. It's a nice place. This one, it's not a very big room. It's small, but cheerful.
Wow. And I like the eclectic furniture. It's not matchy-matchy.
Yes,
Diba?
yes. In fact, our cafe, I don't know if you have a photo of that. We have mixed match chairs. We don't have uniform chairs, and people ask us, "How come your chairs are different?" And I always say, because no two people are the same. Those who sit on them are
wow.
also different.
Next photo. Yun.
Our
Yan ang gusto natin.
Gusto mo yan, Ken?
yes.
Ang sarap. Grabe.
So our food are from recipes that are Boots, my husband's grandmother used to cook, and they're mostly family celebration dishes.
Miss ko na yung pulawo.
Would you like to know what the best seller was
Yes.
during the
Yes,
lockdown
please.
when we were
Yes.
delivering?
Yes.
Crispy pata.
Of course.
Na, oh.
The main attraction.
Yes, because it's something you're not gonna cook at home, right?
Yes.
Yeah. At saka,
So,
comfort food.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
nice. Miss ko na rin yung kulawo.
Yeah.
Eggplant with gata.
Yes, smoked gata.
Smoked gata. Nice.
It's grilled eggplant in smoked gata vinaigrette. And
You should
we
taste
do,
that.
it's so delicious.
Yeah.
And we do a native cooking tour showing how to cook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Secretary Berna Romulo enjoyed the demo, but she also enjoyed the kulawo. She asked me if she could bring home some for her family.
Nice.
She really enjoyed it.
Next photo. Yun, no?
Oh.
Sa ano yan? Thank you, Good
so-
Luck Humans website.
Yeah, so this is Apple, my dear friend Apple. Apple and I were editors of the first of the Filipino edition of Good Housekeeping, which feels like ages ago, but also feels like only yesterday. Apple has journeyed on, as like me, we've both taken on the artisan path after our publishing careers. And she came over to Casa to shoot for her brand, Good Luck Humans, which are lovely handcrafted clothes. But also she wanted to have a feature on the life of on country living. So I put out a table for her. with my clay pieces.
which brings us to our next photo, which is what I love about Casa San Pablo as well. Everything is so thoughtful, di ba? That's what I
Yeah.
noticed. Everything's so thoughtful. The minute guests enter, even the table setting, the details, it's all about details,
Yeah.
which makes people
Yes.
love Casa San Pablo.
Thank you, Francine. Yes. Yes, it's about those details. The bowl of rambutan and the table is actually freshly harvested. She came at the time when we had a lot of rambutan. It was harvest time. So that's the kind of thing we do. You just plop it on the table. I would say it's thoughtful, as Francine said, but I'd like to say it's also just so real. I mean, we don't really go for expensive stuff. It's just what's accessible to us.
And I think you also enjoy doing the actual preparations aside from
Yes, the
doing the
process.
administrative work and the operations. No?
Operations.
You're still involved in the small details of preparations.
Yes, that's what I love. The chance to put flowers on a bottle or to put a pop of color in different areas. That's really what I enjoy.
So, our next photo. Ooh.
This is actually a perfect photo because this was taken on our first visit back
Oh.
Casa after the lockdown.
Wow.
Boots and I chose to lock down in San Juan, not in San Pablo, because we thought anyway it's going to be closed, so
Yes.
we're not needed there. So, and thinking that we'd only be gone for a month, but it turned out it was more than 6 months that we were gone. So that was our first visit. So it was quite an emotional visit because, well, we didn't know what was up ahead.
Yeah.
And we also saw, you can just imagine, we could only maintain a small part of the garden over that prolonged lockdown. So there were areas in Casa, not seen in this photo, that were really wild. And are still, I have to admit, are still wild right now. Kasi I don't have enough people yet. But so that was a very, very special, courageous moment. I'm glad you chose that photo. We were we're holding ourselves together and trying to gather the strength and the stamina and the courage to keep the business going despite everything that was telling us to stop.
Yeah.
Yes. And then our next photograph. You know.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's
Diba?
how we survive. Yeah, that's part of what I was telling you na through this pandemic, what we just learned to do is to go through, even if you can't control everything, accept. So be messy and complicated and afraid, which was what we are. We are messy, we are complicated, and we continue to be afraid, but show up anyway.
Yeah.
As in that last photo, Boots and I showed up anyway.
Yeah. And maybe giving
Like coming into this interview, I'm messy, I'm scared, but I'll show up for you anyway.
I guess it's all about giving ourselves the permission to be messy and afraid.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yes.
Ganun lang.
And it's all right.
And that's what we're learning from you today. Which brings us to our last photograph.
No.
Ito, the storytellers.
Yeah.
What happens next?
How nice that you chose just the right photos. Yeah, I think, and this makes me cry. I think this is what will happen next. I will go back to tablets like this. I call this a tablet. So this particular one is a tablet telling the story of Our Lady of Lourdes and the pilgrims that come to her. That's why she's invited in the blue sash. And some of the pilgrims, I think, are holding holy water. But the point is, it's a tablet that tells a story.
Yeah.
It's almost like a painting, but it's in clay. And I said how perfect you chose the perfect photos because I think that's where I'm gonna go with. Artwork like that, framed artwork that tell a story.
Wow.
Okay.
And of course, it's really through prayer that we've been through, that we got through the worst of the pandemic, and with God's grace, sana no more second round.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
yes,
hope
yes.
so.
Yeah. Well, the story continues. We're all excited to find
Yes.
out what's next for you, Anne, and for Casa San Pablo. But we've run out of time. As
Yes.
always, kung
Yeah.
kailan tayo
Ang sarap
nagkakasarapan
sana ng kwentuhan
diba?
So,
So with that, we'd like to just some last thoughts for our viewers.
Yes.
Those who are looking forward, yung gigil na bumalik sa Casa San Pablo.
It's time to come out and travel already. There are safe spaces that you can go to, where you can enjoy the great outdoors, rekindle your creativity, eat comfort food, be
Yes.
out in the green al fresco, and yet still be safe. So
Yes.
come if you're looking for a place like that. Come to Casa San Pablo.
And we will soon, Care.
yes, we will. We have
We
to.
will.
We have to
Yeah.
go there.
So, thank you very much, and it's been a lovely afternoon.
Thank you so
Kahit
much.
sandaling-sandali
Yes.
lang. We learned a lot, we gained a lot. We're richer with all your kwento and your reflections.
Thank you, Francine, and thank you, Carrie. It was so lovely to see you.
Yeah.
So, but
See you in real life soon.
yes,
Yes.
real time, no?
Cross fingers.
Yes, but to our viewers, we'll pause for a break muna.
Magsha-shopping na lang ako! Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Hello, can you get the following? One pink chair, bed sheets, na pink yung sofa, tapos slide, size 8, pajamas na blue. Oh, don't forget my hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Wait lang. Okay ba yan?
Anything at the SM store, ma'am.
Call to deliver. Kuya, pwede rin ba ako magpa-deliver sa ate ko sa Taguig, tapos sa friend ko sa Davao, tsaka sa cancel ko sa Lipa? Okay ba yan?
Kahit saan po, pwede kami mag-deliver.
Call to deliver. Call hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Call hashtag 143SM. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Call na rin kayo. Call to deliver.
Hi, and we're back.
We're back.
Yes, that was a very enriching conversation with
Yes.
Anne Mercado Alcantara of Casa San Pablo. So, Care, it's been nice having you.
Yes.
Your thoughts. May question, ano?
Oo, may interview din ako. Well, what I've learned from this conversation is just to be resilient. Just
tama.
to move forward no matter what happens. Kasi, di ba parang ano nga parang the right people will come to you at the right time. Laging ganun Kasi napansin ko nga doon yung nababasa kong reviews, bumabalik at bumabalik talaga sila sa Casa San Pablo because it reminds them of their childhood. So, something na hindi mo na matatanggal sa life mo, sa memory mo. So, like for me, no, parang as a woman din, syempre, 'di ba? Very empowering to see women na nagli-lead talaga, nagpe-pave ng way para makapag-travel na tayo ulit safely, 'di ba? Parang for some people baka hindi ganong big deal, but for us women, big deal siya, empowerment siya.
Tama, oo. Ako naman, ang learnings ko ngayon is build something beautiful and honest, and people will follow.
Yes.
And believe passionately, and things will happen.
Yes.
So, on that note, I'm Francine Marquez,
And I'm Care Balleras,
and this has been PairFect. Thank you.